That if you have bought these, no, you are not an idiot. These are the two most expensive units from the Giraffe Tools lineup of the Grand Falls pressure washers. We have the Plus Plus and the Pro. Now, Obsessed Garage just did a review of these two units, and his opinion was that they're total garbage. The performance numbers that he got when he was testing were subpar for sure, especially at the price points of these units, $380 and $600. But I wanted to run my own test just to make sure that the numbers that he got were consistent across the board with what I'm going to be getting on these, and then also give you my opinion on how you can get the most out of these units and see if they're worth buying. And full disclaimer here, guys, I purchased these personally from Amazon. It's from Amazon, right? So I was like, well, if they don't get the numbers that they say that they do, I can just return it. It's not operating the way it should be operating, right? So with that said, I did pay for these, 100% honest opinion. Again, as always, even if, so on the G20, which is the unit I reviewed from Giraffe previously, they did send that to me. However, they tried to have me sign a contract. I said, no, thank you. I just, I want to be 100% transparent with the audience. And they said, we respect that, no worries. So I appreciate that they were open to that. The reason I wanted them to send that one to me is it wasn't available on the market yet. And I wanted to get my opinion on it out to you guys before it hit the market so you could know if it's worth buying. And again, that G20 unit I did like, so let's go ahead and move on to these ones. Now, I am in total agreement with him in the fact that at $600, there are a lot of options for some fantastic performing pressure washers. With this one, the casing is plastic, guys. At $600, it is a hard sell right off the bat for me on that one. Without even talking about the performance, just the build quality alone for $600, I would expect a little bit more elevated, because these are basically the same build quality, like, right, same components, same outer shell. Again, $380 versus $600. So for $220, you're still getting the same outside. The only difference is this one is listed as an induction motor, and this one isn't listed, so I'm assuming it's just a universal motor. Now, I will say I've reviewed some of the Giraffe Tools entry-level pressure washers, and I've liked them. They've been good. I think for an all-in-one unit that has a retractable hose reel, I think they're a good option. If you don't want to go out and buy a $100 Ryobi and then worry about having to figure out how to mount it and then getting an external pressure washer hose on a reel, all that kind of stuff, it comes to about the same price. The new G20, I can't remember exactly what it retails for, but on their website, it's right around $200. So I think that's a viable option, and it got decent numbers, especially when you manipulated the tips. So when I saw Obsessed Garage's video talking about the performance of these things and how bad it was, it surprised me because their entry-level units aren't bad. Now, I made some notes of the performance specs right on the manual here. So this one, again, the Plus Plus, retails for $380. Comes with a replaceable hose. The hose, again, in the Obsessed Garage video, they talked about the hose being garbage. It's not, I mean, it's not the best hose for sure. There's lots of better options out there. However, I have to say, when it's on a hose reel, you don't have to worry about it as much as far as it being kind of cumbersome to work with and all that. It's on a hose reel, it's not as bad. Now, I will say, let's see if I can just pull this out a little bit. So, whoa! Sorry guys, these things are not mounted. I'm just trying to deal with it. Okay, so here we are. Let's go ahead and decently pliable. It does feel like the outer shell is separate from the inner shell a little bit. Like you can feel a little bit of play there. As far as them kinking, yes, they will kink, and it does stay in the line. However, like I said, because it's on a pressure washer hose reel, not quite as bad. But again, regardless of all that, if the performance isn't there, then it doesn't matter. Now, this one is rated at, it says max power is 2200 PSI, max flow of 2.1 GPM. Those are max numbers. We're definitely not getting that. They also do list this as rated at 1750 PSI, 1.32 GPM. And I'm assuming that's going to be with the nozzle that it comes with. Now on this unit, the nozzles, they give you the whole range. They give you a 0, 15, 25, and a 40. And they are all a 1.9 size the actual hole that the water passes through, 1.9, which is very, very small. So with that size, I assume the PSI is going to be okay, but the GPM, the flow of the water, is going to be pretty low. So we'll see where that goes. On this one, let's go ahead and grab the notes here. $600 or $599. So again, guys, very expensive. Replaceable hose. We do get that induction motor on this one. This one says that its max PSI is 2500 and a max flow of 1.4. So they're saying this one does get more flow, but less PSI. And then this one is rated at 2075 PSI and 1.32 GPM. So at the rated marks, they're saying they're getting the same GPM. This one just gets higher PSI. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go ahead and head to the front of the shop and test these things out. If I like the numbers that I see, we'll go into more depth on the construction and all that kind of stuff. If I don't like the numbers that I see on the performance side, then we're going to stop it there. Okay, guys, so we've got it hooked up. We've got the water source plugged in, power plugged in. Everything's good to go. The 100-foot hose. I will say that 100's a little excessive for car detailing. It's excessive. I mean, it's nice to have, I guess, but it is very, very long. Now, for me personally, like at my house, we bought a new property and the backyard kind of goes pretty far back. So I like having a long hose for that. For car detailing, 50 is usually all I need. So, but anyways, we have the pressure gauge here. We're gonna go ahead and plug this in line. I apologize, there's some planes going over. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start this thing up so we can test the PSI with the 40-degree nozzle. All right, guys, so as you can see, with the nozzle that it came with, I was getting about 1,700 PSI. Again, what they show rated of actual use, they put it at 1,750. So accurate, I'm not against that. We're gonna go ahead and test the GPM with this nozzle now. Again, they had it rated at 1.32. Let's see. Okay, so that's 1 minute. Let's go ahead and measure the water. We are at 5 1/4 quarts. All right, guys, and I'm getting 1.312 gallons per minute. Again, on the rated, they show 1.32. So again, it's right there, pretty accurate. Now, guys, the issue that I see is obviously you can hear the ramp up and the ramp down take a little bit longer, and I think it's because of the back pressure of the long 100-foot hose. So go ahead and listen to this. So that start off was a little bit delayed, not too bad. And now for the shutdown, you see it just takes a little bit of time. So I was monitoring the amperage as well, and it is above 15. So just a little bit, I think it peaked at 16.3, and then it settled down just above 15. So if you're on a 15 amp breaker, you may have issues. I would definitely recommend using a 20 amp breaker for this, unless you're using a larger orifice. So let's go ahead and go on to that. Okay, moving on to a 2.5 40-degree nozzle. Let's go ahead and test the PSI. Again, that long delay, but we're sitting at about 1,300 PSI. Yeah, just slightly over 13.5 amps. Okay, so again, 1,300 PSI with the 2.5. Let's go ahead and check the GPM with that now. Okay, guys, so now with that 2.5 nozzle, we're just above 5 3/4 quarts of water in 1 minute. So I'm gonna put that at right at 1.44 gallons per minute, 1,300 PSI, 1.44. Moving on to a 3.0 nozzle. Let's go ahead and check the PSI. We're at 1,100 PSI. And 11.8 amps. Again, that wind down takes a bit. Let's go ahead and test the GPM. For car detailing, this at 1,100 PSI is gonna be where I would probably go. Yeah, we're at 6.5 quarts. Okay, so with that 3.0 nozzle, we are getting 1,100 PSI at 1.625 gallons per minute. So guys, not terrible numbers. For 380, it's pushing it a little bit. But again, the ease of use of this thing is fantastic. Now, I would personally say, if you want the replaceable hose, this is an option that you're gonna have to go with. But that G20 at like 200 or so bucks, got similar numbers to this, was fantastic. So I would recommend going with that one over this one. But this isn't junk. Again, the hose isn't the best. It does the job fine, especially on a retractable hose reel. It's gonna do the job fine and last for you because it's not constantly being bundled up. So that's okay. The plastic casing, again, not the most durable, but you're mounting this on a wall and you're not moving it around a bunch. So it doesn't, keep that in mind. It's gonna be stationary. It should last. My recommendation would still just be go with that new G20 version, which I'll put a link in the description for you guys. But this one, I don't know, decent numbers. It's not terrible. 380 bucks, a little high for it, but it is getting decent numbers and it is getting what they rated it at. Well, not the advertised rating, which is max performance and all that kind of stuff, but their actual usable rating that they list on their site, it's accurate. Okay guys, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Giraffe Grandfalls Pro now. This is the one that's $600, uses the induction motor. From the Obsessed Garage review, I saw that the performance died really quickly once you started manipulating the nozzle size. And that's true with any induction motor on the consumer grade side, it seems like. The Ryobis that are induction motors do that too. You start opening up that nozzle size and the PSI just drops to unusable space. So that's probably what's going on with this thing, but again, we'll see what the rated is versus what they say. And if you're looking for it around the house, then that may be a perfect fit for you. I will say, I have the nozzle here and you can see it's jammed full with some sort of lubricant. So we'll want to make sure to clear that out so that's not gonna, clog anything. Oh, it's out already, we're good. Anyways, that's pouring out now. We're good to go. This is a good way to just let all the air purge out anyway. So I'm good with that. Okay guys, and the pressure washer wand on this one seems to be the exact same thing. Again, everything seems to be the same except for a little bit of color. And the fact that it has an induction motor, and then these nozzles are not 1.9, these are 1.8. So that should push the PSI up, but again, we'll probably ruin our GPM. So let's go ahead and fire this thing on. We'll start testing it with the factory nozzles. Interesting guys, so that ramp up and ramp down is even longer on this one, or at least it was. Let's do it again. Kind of a long time to pull the trigger and then wait for it to start, as well as wind down here. I'm gonna pull the trigger and then it starts. So a full second delay probably, and then off, a second or two. It does sound different than the other machine. It sounds more muffled. So just for whatever that's worth. I'm not gonna do a decibel reading on these currently. They're about the same as your average, consumer-based electric pressure washer. At least overall. That one may be rating higher, I don't know, just because it is a different noise, but whatever. Let's go ahead and check the PSI. It looks like we're still climbing. That's it. So we are at 1800 PSI. Again, this one is rated with a max PSI of, let's see here, max PSI of 2500, so nowhere near that, and a rated of 2075. We're getting 18, so we're under there for sure. Let me see. Just again, just to be safe. And the ramp up to that pressure mark takes a bit of time, but we are getting to 1800 just really quickly. Again, this shouldn't make any difference. It's a 1.8 nozzle, but this is the 0 degree. So let's check the PSI with this one just to see. Again, because it's the same 1.8 size, it shouldn't make any difference. But let's just double check. Yeah, same thing. Still sitting at that 1800, as you can see. So again, just to prove, the angle of the nozzle does not matter. It's the size of the hole, the 1.8. So 1800 PSI, let's go ahead and check the GPM. I gotta tell you too, this one, even though the PSI rated higher, it doesn't feel like there's as much force, probably because there's not as much water flow, but we'll see. All right, so there is 1 minute with the factory nozzle. All right guys, and we are sitting at exactly 5 quarts, which is 1.25 gallons per minute. So slightly higher PSI, but definitely a lower GPM than the Plus Plus, the cheaper version. So keep that in mind. Again, this one is running an induction pump. That they may not be an induction pump specialist. They may have to outsource that, and it costs them a lot, and that's why this thing's $600. For this thing to be justified at $600, it would have to get some significant performance upgrades for me, especially since the casing is exactly the same. Let's go ahead and switch over to a 2.5 and just check that really quickly. And really quickly, I want to test the amperage for you guys, just so we have that number with this factory nozzle. Alrighty, and it peaked at 13.98 and then started coming down to settle. So peaks 13.98. Let's go ahead and switch over to the 2.5 nozzle. 2.5 is on. Let's go ahead and check the PSI. All right, just that already dropped it to 1100. So if you remember with the other machine, we were at a 3.0 before we got to 1100. We are running at 11 amps. Let's go ahead and test the GPM now. And yeah, guys, it seems with these induction motors, like I said, at this consumer base, it drops the PSI really quickly, and then even the GPM isn't a significant increase. So for the GPM, we're just about 5 1/4 quarts now, which again isn't fantastic. So 5 1/4 quarts, 1.3125 GPM, 1100 PSI, 1.3. It's not there for me. If we go up again, we're gonna drop it even more, and the GPM is still not gonna be there. For me, the Pro is a pass. The Plus, not terrible. All right, guys, so there you have it. Those are the numbers for these two pressure washers. My bottom line recommendation is that if you have bought these, no, you are not an idiot. Now, I would say the Plus, let's talk about that one. 380 bucks, got decent numbers. If you look into the fine print on their website, it's accurate to what the actual rated numbers are, the usable rated numbers. It's accurate to that. Every pressure washer lists it higher than it actually is. It's however it's tested. I don't understand why they do that, but whatever. I appreciate that pressure washer companies are now listing the rated pressure and not just the initial, you know, like this one stated 2200 PSI, rated 1750 PSI. A lot of them are doing that now. It gives you a better idea. So whenever you're checking for a pressure washer, either look for a video like this where we test the actual numbers, or look for it where it says rated pressure and rated GPM if it's on there. So for the Plus at $380, I think it's decent. It's a little bit hefty on the price, but you can replace the hose if you need to. It's wall mountable, fantastic. I still probably would just opt for the G20 at 200. I think it's 200 bucks now. That's where I would go with it because it gets similar results. It's a nice smaller kind of footprint and it swivels, so I like that one a little bit better. I did a whole review on that one. I'll link up here for you guys. As far as the Pro goes, at 600 bucks, guys, I do think there's a lot of better options. You still get the same casing, right? It's just that plastic. Now the induction motor that it comes with is good, right? You should potentially get more life out of that thing. However, the numbers just aren't there for me. For hard use, for around the house, 1800 PSI, 1.25 or whatever GPM it was, it's gonna get some stuff done. No worries there. Again, 100-foot hose is a long hose, so you're gonna be able to reach the things you need to reach. So again, $600, I think you're overpaying at that price, but you can replace the hose, you get that induction motor, so hopefully you get a longer lifespan out of it. It's okay. Again, that's not one I would recommend. The one at 380, it wouldn't be one that I would tell you like, hey, go get this thing, it's the best. But if you bought it, the numbers, you know, they're good. I think it does a good job for the one at 380. Because if you're looking at a unit like that, let's see here. Let's do some math. Say a basic pressure washer is going to be 130 bucks, right? And then we got a hose reel and a 100-foot hose. We're going to be at another, 200 bucks there. So that would put you at 230. Well, sorry, 330. Yeah, so 330. So another 50 bucks. It's all in one thing. You don't have to deal with it. It gives you all the mounting hardware. Now, one benefit of Giraffe Tools is what I've heard is, I haven't dealt with it personally, but I've heard that the return policy is very good. So if you have an issue, they'll send you out a new unit from what I understand. That's good. So again, guys, just to sum this up, if you're gonna get a pressure washer for them, you want something that's very easy, just that you can mount and not have to worry about getting external hoses and external reels to get everything nice and stored, and you just want it all in one unit. I personally would go with the G20. It's cheaper, it gets the same performance pretty much as this $380 unit. The $380 unit, it's nice as well. The $600 unit, I would personally pass. It's too expensive for the numbers that it's getting. I would go with like an active and then actually set up the system personally. With that active unit, you're gonna be getting 1200 PSI right around there, close to 2 GPM. So if you're working on a car, that's a fantastic choice. You can get everything mounted and everything on reels and everything for under 600 bucks. So that's definitely where I would go with that. If you're looking for something that's better for just all around the house and you do want a higher PSI, I would look at the Greenworks Pro version pressure washers. They have a variable speed. I think it's called jet flow technology, I think still, where it kind of calibrates and manipulates the flow and PSI depending on what nozzle you're using, so it's the most efficient that it can be. I like those ones a lot as well. They have a little bit of a delayed ramp up, which is the only downside in my personal opinion, but most people don't mind it. I just like the instant trigger. But that's it, guys. Again, if you bought these, no, you're not an idiot. Don't feel bad about it. I think they're decent, especially with the $380 unit. The 600, again, a little overpriced, but what can you do? So that's it for today's video, guys. Please make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.